Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Dal. The next BlizzCon is right around the corner, and with every BlizzCon we get even more major game announcements. Likely every title from Diablo, Overwatch and even Warcraft will get its fair share of news and updates, and they usually save the most exciting announcements for this special occasion. Many in the community are expecting big Dragonflight changes, like a new roadmap beyond the patch 10.15, with more content updates for the patch 10.2 and 10.3 expected, as well as what comes next in the in-between updates. Though some are wondering if this BlizzCon will announce the next chapter of World of Warcraft, or at least give us a hint where the story may go beyond the Dragon Isles. Many passionate players have begun to look for clues and patterns which could help hint at the next expansion, and a new theory has been able to gain quite a bit of traction as of recently. Some believe that this could be the very next expansion for World of Warcraft patch 11.0 in the making, and in today's video I wanted to highlight this newest community theory by going over the hints, the themes, and the interconnected parts which could make a sea exploration expansion possible going forward. But right before that, most of you guys watching these videos are still not subscribed. However, the more of you are mine, the more of you do, so let's keep it going. Subscribe to the channel and ring the bell if you're watching these videos anyway, especially if you want to get more regular content on Dragonflight or if you want to see more different format videos such as this one. Of course, Discord link and all the other stuff in the description down below. First, we have this year's BlizzCon promotional material, which some in the community believe hints at the next chapter of World of Warcraft. At a first glance, we see a cast to represent all of the Blizzard's biggest titles, from Warcraft, Diablo, Overwatch, Hearthstone, and even the new Arclight Rumble Mobile Edition. And we've seen a pattern over the last few expansions, with Blizzard either hinting or deliberately leaking the next chapter of World of Warcraft, sometimes even in the key art such as this. Most in the community are convinced that they've done this for years through some of the in-game mounts, such as the Heart of the Aspects, released before Mr. Pandaria, which somewhat resembles a cloud serpent from Pandaria, to the Iron Sky Reaver, released before we got the Warlords of Draenor announcement, the Mystic Rune Saber, similar to the types of sabers you find around Suramar in Legion, released before we got our first glimpse of the next demonic expansion, the Stormwind Skychaser and the Orgrimmar Interceptor, before we even knew that Battle for Azeroth was themed around the Alliance and the Horde conflict. Finally, with Shadowlands, the Vulpine Familiar and the Silverian Dreamer, roaming the forest of Ardenweald within the Shadowlands. What's important to note here is that the community sees these things as patterns, as the developers trying to hint at what the next expansion may be based on promotional materials or in-game items, and if this pattern still holds true, potentially we may even have items in-game right now that could help hint towards the next expansion. But we'll come back to the topic of in-game items in just a bit later, as we still have the BlizzCon key art to go over and see if we can glean any patterns from there as well. BlizzCon 2017 art had Jaina Proudmoore prominently placed towards the middle. This could have been because of the expansion announcement, where Jaina Proudmoore returns back into the spotlight as the Horde in the Alliance venture forth into expeditions to uncover the lands of Zandalar and the Kultiris, with Jaina playing a key role for the Alliance BFA storyline. A few years later, we had the BlizzCon 2019, which announced the Shadowlands expansion, with the BlizzCon art showing the Banshee Queen herself up front, the main antagonist that opened the doors into the lands of the afterlife. Though even before that specific BlizzCon, they were pretty blatant with some of their expansion leaks. Both Shadowlands and Dragonflight were practically spoiled. BlizzCon 2023 promotional art features a crowd all-time favorite warchief, my boy Thrall, which could mean that potentially he may be making his big return, taking center stage during this next expansion announcement if the pattern proves correct. But what role could Thrall play going forward? Could this mean the return of the favorite warchief back to lead the Horde, or potentially something more? From here on, the speculations of the community are going to get wilder and wilder, but this is what I wanted to highlight so far. Let's return back to the topic of in-game items, which could help us hint towards the next expansion. So far, we haven't seen too many new or out-of-the-ordinary mounts added to the in-game store, besides what is available every month from the trading post. In fact, the trading post is filled with unique cosmetics every single month, but there is a unifying theme that does bring some of them together. From the pirate outfit available day 1, to the pirate hats popping up here and there month after month, the treasure chest cloak cosmetic becoming available later on, as well as a handful of others thematically similar items month after month. All of these items have a pirate theme among them, but maybe there's other themes that could also interconnect with them as well. Which takes us towards the in-game shop, where some have noted that there have been some transmogs that have been popping up from month to month, with the Celestial Observer, the Fire Plume Regalia, as well as the newest Waveborn Diplomat. The Diplomat Regalia certainly stands out as an item of transmog by itself, with its overly emphasized shoulder pads, the hat as well as the plume, belts packed to the brim with adventuring supplies, parchments with maps, and much more. The community believes that the Diplomat attire fits fairly well with the trading post items, specifically when it comes to sea voyages and sea exploration, maybe even potentially a ship-focused, open sea expansion themes. Some have even noted that there is a book that exists on the Forbidden Reach, titled The Return of the Night Squall. This book is located on a pirate ship in the northwestern side of the island. It describes a young night elf who has fled his home of Darnassus long ago to board a pirate crew, and through the years have worked up the ranks to become a ship captain himself with a ship to call his own. This book details his many achievements, like discovering Pandaria before the Alliance or the Horde eventually found it, his plundering of treasures from both the Zandalari and the Kultiran villages, his raids on the islands in the southern seas as he stashes the gold beneath the sands of Tel Abyb. After exploring all of Azeroth, Nightsquall got tired of everything there was to see and decided to go beyond the horizons out towards the west. His journey would lead him into stormy seas filled with monstrous creatures and even wild magic forces, which make the ocean impossible to cross for most sailors. Speaking about sailing out west, if you currently open up the world map and zoom out so that you can see all of the known continents of Azeroth, from Eastern Kingdoms, Northern Pandaria, Dragon Isles, you will notice that the continents on the map have been shifted slightly to the right, and there's now a bit of extra space available west of Kalimdor. This change was noticed by few in the community, likely by the same people that came across the story of Nightsquall. Comparing this to the original world map from just the last expansion, there's definitely a good bit of space now out west as of this moment, and it's possible that new continents and more horizons could be placed there in the future. Parts of the map are even somewhat interactable, though as of right now they only show Outland out west. Might be an unintentional bug, or potentially the map is meant to be interacted with in the future and Outland is just a placeholder of sorts. The final page is a call to arms for the Irontide, Bloodsail, Defias, and Freebooter to take up arms and join under Nightsquall's flag. Follow him as the new admiral to create a force so large that no navy in Azeroth can match up to them. And to help create this new powerful faction, they first need to plunder the secrets of the Dragon Isles. While nothing has been officially confirmed, it is possible that all of these items could hint at an expansion set in the open seas of Azeroth, where we set sail into new and undiscovered lands to expand beyond our very own horizons. Next, we've seen a lot of data mined in-game items over the last few patches, like buildings, houses, and other interiors, as well as a blue post from August of 2022, which may suggest that the next expansion could experience an old world revamp. Last August, the World of Warcraft narrative lead made a blue post discussing the timelines of the story progression. After the heroes have returned from facing death within the Shadowlands, roughly 5 years would pass before the pre-patch for Dragonflight. During that time, there is a transition period, as the Horde and the Alliance have to adjust to their new truce. Big events, however, such as the resettlement of Gilneas and the reclamation of ruins of Lordaeron, are events that players will be able to experience for themselves, rather than having these stories reach their conclusion off-screen. Together, this creates a scenario where a lot could be done here when it comes to the open world content, like possibly transforming Gilneas into a proper capital city, similar to Stormwind, or seeing Silverpine Forest and how that would look like after the Alliance and Horde have ended their eternal conflict. Could we even see a new faction form and muscle their way into this power vacuum now present as the two forces no longer locked in a constant struggle? What could a war-torn Darkshore or even an Arathi Basin look like to a fresh new player? and how would the quests and the stories be shaped in all of these zones based on the events from Battle for Azeroth. There is certainly a lot of potential to revamp all of the older zones with brand new stories, as well as new open world content, a chance for new as well as veteran players to return to these new zones and experience new questlines, which could become a focal point of the next expansion. And to me, having a character such as Thrall help us restore the old world would feel somewhat fitting of a journey. Besides this, we also have a lot of unused in-game assets which have been data mined over the last few patches, with buildings, military barracks, as well as other structures which are yet to be used anywhere in the open world. For now, we just have images of what some of these models and additions will look like. Most of them are simply a high-resolution version of already existing buildings from what you might have seen when questing in the early levels of the human areas. Some in the community have suggested that these buildings and assets could be part of that old world refresher, or potentially even part of some sort of a player housing system, yet to be announced in a future update, similar to how garrisons were back in Warlords of Draenor, but hopefully more usable and even more customizable, which could also be placed in some of the areas we are to reclaim. But for now, this is all we have regarding the potential new expansion that we could maybe see announced at the very next BlizzCon, based on some of the more popular fan theories, in-game items, and data mined assets. As always, most of these are just theories, usually born from wishful thinking by the community of what they may imagine the next expansion could be. So now I want to pass it off to you guys in the comments down below. How likely do you think that we could get sea exploration expansion in the future? What about an expansion focused on revamping and refreshing the older zones of the open world of Azeroth? What features and content updates would you personally like to see from the next World of Warcraft expansion going forward? Let me know all your thoughts in the comments below. As per usual, if you guys enjoyed this video or found it informative, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. I would very much appreciate it. And as always, in the description of every single video and live stream, we have a link to our Discord community channel. Probably the best place to reach out to me directly in case you want to let me know what you thought about this video or hang out with the rest of the community to discuss some of the upcoming changes. Join our Discord to become part of the community. But otherwise, thank you all so much for watching this video. I do hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know all of your thoughts down below. And as always, I'll see all of you guys in another video.